Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the Global Sports Podcast Network and that Saturday Feeling episode 6. This is, of course, our daily wrap of the weekly wrap, should I say, of what's been going on this week. A couple of the big stories in football and looking ahead to the weekend's games and, more importantly, our predictions to how it's all going. My name is Nick Britton and I am your host for today. It's great to have you along. And it's a little bit of a strange feeling today. It's a little bit of a strange feeling because as I look around GSPN Towers, I'm the only person here. Normally, I'm joined by my colleague Ken Davis, but he's had a power cut, so he can't get online. Anybody out there with 50p's, you can chuck in so he can put it into his meter. I'm sure they'll be greatly appreciated so we can get him back up and running. But for now, it's just me, I'm afraid. But we've got some important stuff to talk to you about. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only place you can get daily content on all your Premier League teams, women's football, and a whole load more in between. Come and join us on Twitter at... I can't call it Twitter. I still keep calling it Twitter. Come and join us on X, official GSPN, or on Instagram and TikTok, both of which are GSPN official. I don't know why those things are switched around, but they are. So official GSPN on X and GSPN official on Insta and TikTok. Come and join us on there, where there are, of course, links to all the podcasts that we put out. Soon, by the way, to become very, very regular on YouTube. So we're just starting off. That will be coming very soon, our official YouTube channel. Today then, folks, we're going to have a look at a couple of the big stories of the week. First is Kai Havertz the most unpopular player in the Premier League right now? Lots going on there. Secondly, we're going to have a quick look at the biggest game of the week. And it was an absolute cracker. Forest won, Liverpool won. What does that say about the title race? What does it say about either of the teams? It was such a good game as well. It was like a proper throwback to the early days of the Premier League. Great stuff. We're going to have a look at this week's hero and villain and then on to the most important thing of the week, which is, of course, the predictions for the weekend's games and looking ahead at what's coming up. Let's talk then about Kai Havertz. Now, this is a really interesting one because he's never been the most popular player. Let's face it. And when he played for Chelsea, then he went away, then he came back to the Premier League with Arsenal. It wasn't greeted with an enormous fanfare, maybe by Arsenal fans, but not many other people. And he's one of those players that you look at, and he's a great player, there's no doubt about it, but is he a player that's ever fulfilled all the hype and everything that goes around him? Has he ever really become that player? Well, I don't think so, and everybody's entitled to their view, of course. But he's been wrapped up in a lot of controversy in the last week. Of course, started last Sunday in the FA Cup game against Manchester United when he won a penalty which can only be described as an outrageous dive. And I'm sure you've all seen it now. It led to a lot of social media stuff. Harry Maguire particularly was picked up, giving his view of it on the pitch. Nice for Harry to get some positive PR for a change. And it was terrible. Now, did Havertz deserve to get the level of stick that he got? In a footballing sense, without a shadow of a doubt. But as always with football these days, it then got a little bit nastier, and you will have been aware, I'm sure you will have seen, I'm not going to repeat it on here, by the way, but you will have seen some of the comments that his wife, Sophia, had on social media. Absolutely disgraceful. I mean, and there's no other word for it. It's absolutely disgusting. These human beings, and I can barely even call them that populate social media and put this type of content and words and abuse and threats on the wife of a football player just because they don't like what he did on the football pitch are absolute scumbags. There's no doubt about it. There's no getting away from it. All that aside, a lot of the heat came on Kai Havertz. And I kind of get both of these, both sides of the coin here, because it was a dive. And if he's diving like that, he's cheating. So essentially, it's cheating. But tell me what football player, Premier League or otherwise, doesn't cheat? Because they all do. Whether it's conning the referee from a throw-in whether it's diving around on the floor, pretending you've been touched, whatever it might be, pretending the ball didn't hit your hand by clutching your head or your chest, etc., etc. It's all going against the rules of the game. And there are plenty of players in the Premier League and beyond who have outrageously dived to try and win penalties. So I'm not quite sure that Havertz deserves the level of abuse that he is getting. On the other hand, it was a terrible dive. And you kind of think, well, if you're going to go down that road, you deserve all the stick you're going to get. So is Kai Havertz the most unpopular player in the Premier League right now? Well, quite possibly. But if he wasn't after the Manchester United game on Sunday, he certainly seemed to be after the Tottenham game in midweek, which of course Arsenal won 2-1, yet Havertz is still getting it in the neck for what wasn't a great performance at 9. It didn't really impact the game too much. And it seemed that hangover from Sunday or whatever. It just seems to be a really, really popular target for the Boo Boys. Is it justified? Well, maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. It's obviously rattled Arsenal a little bit because Declan Rice came out about it and spoke after the game and said, well, he essentially said he's being unfairly made a bit of a scapegoat. Arsenal fans should have been over the moon at their side's 2-1 victory over Tottenham. Regardless of whether they were pleased with the performance, it's a 2-1 victory in the Premier League against your bitter rivals. You'll take it. You'll take it, and you'll take it all day long. So whether should he need to come out and talk about Kai Havertz? I don't know. There's obviously stuff going on there. It's a tough one, but he seems to have made himself a target, Havertz, at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not that carries on, or whether or not, as is the way in football, the circus moves on with great pace, and somebody else will be the villain next week. What does it say about Arsenal? Well, not a great deal. Jesse Sawar, by the way, who's one of our regular podcasters here, he runs the Liverpool podcast and a regular contributor, although not today, on That Saturday Feeling, said to me yesterday, are Arsenal now the most unpopular team in the Premier League? And I thought that was a little bit harsh and he was talking about Havertz, he was talking about the antics and the diving and this, that, and the other, which I thought was a bit rich coming from a Liverpool supporter. So I don't think they're the most unpopular team in the Premier League, but Havertz is certainly right now the most unpopular player in the Arsenal team and probably in the league individually. But as I said before, there's absolutely no excuse whatsoever for some of the vile, disgusting comments that have come on social media aimed at his wife. And I sincerely hope, by the way, I'm sure everybody out there listening to this will join me. I sincerely hope that those who made those comments will be hunted down and punished in whatever way people are hunted down and punished on social media these days. If they are Arsenal fans, if they are fans of other clubs and they've got customer numbers or whatever, I would ban them. I would ban them from football. I'd ban them from the grounds, and I would let them sit in their own vitriolic mess at home and have plenty of time to reflect on what they have done. Right, we're going to talk in just a moment about the game of the week and what a cracking game it was. What a cracking game it was. But first, just a reminder of our friends and partners here at Global Sports Podcast Network. And that is Zencastr. We spent a lot of time, by the way, when we set out in the company, selecting our delivery platform. We looked at a loads, and Zencastr came out as the absolute clear winner. They've got 4K video recording from your phone, AI that automatically edits by removing all those ums and ahs. Very, very easy to start a podcast. Sounds great, delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and the show notes to learn more about Zencastr. On we go. Wednesday night was an interesting one because we had Liverpool league leaders travel to the surprise package of the Premier League this season. That is, of course, Nottingham Forest, who are sitting in third going into the start of play. They've been as high as second this season, and they're having such a great time of it. And we talked in the last podcast. I was lucky enough to review Forest in the last podcast. And we did the half-term reports in the form of school tutors because we thought it'd be a bit of fun. And I gave Forest a resounding A star because they've had a brilliant season. They've clicked. They've got momentum, which is incredibly important. Nuno's done a brilliant job in finding the right players for the right positions and a right style of play that suits them. So they're not so much about having the ball, but they are all about absolutely lightning quick on the counter-attack, backed by very, very, very solid defence. So it was never going to be easy for Liverpool to go to Forest. And so it proved. And Liverpool have stuttered a little bit in recent games. Whether or not they've opened the door to their Premier League title aspirational rivals, we don't know. I suspect not. I think Liverpool will still win the league. But, they've tripped up a couple of times, have dropped a couple of points here or there, and at least giving everybody else a chance. So going into the game, we thought it would be a classic. We hoped it would be a classic. And guess what? It was an absolute cracker. Chris Wood's 13th goal of the season was a very, very typical Forest type of goal. Fast on the break. Anthony Elanga, what a player he's becoming under Espirito Santo's guidance. Slid it through to him. Smart finish. And a very, very typical Forest goal. Virgil van Dijk left looking at dust, quite frankly, for between Elanga and Wood. And it was just a great finish. And it was well deserved. And Forest's first half was exceptional because they've just found this groove, and this happens with teams sometimes. They find this groove, they hit the momentum, and a winning streak is an amazing thing because you kind of start games with kind of half of the 3 points in the bag mentally, because mentally you kind of have that feeling that when you go out, you're just going to win. You're going to win. Conversely, it happens to teams like Southampton where you're beaten before you actually set foot onto the pitch because you kind of have that losing mentality. So confidence or lack of it is everything. Momentum or lack of it is everything. And Forest have got confidence, they've got momentum, they've got a settled team, they've got very good players working within a system that really, really suits those players. Right at the back, and this is you can't talk about Forest without talking about Brian Clough. And his mantra was always, you win games with your defence. Yeah, because if you don't concede, you can't lose a game. That's a fact. That's not my fact. It is just fact. So Forest defence this season is built on real solid grounds. You've got Matt Sells, who's had an outstanding season, and anybody you will have seen Forest, I'm sure. Anybody listening to this will have seen Forest. He's had an unbelievable season, and he cost, wait for it, £5 million from Salzburg in the summer. What a bargain! Yeah, the Forest recruitment team or analytical team, whoever found him, should be bathing in champagne after every sensational goalkeeping performance, which is pretty much every week. And it certainly was against Liverpool, because it needs to be when you play Liverpool, because you're going to have shots whacked at you, normally from close range. So you've got Sells there in goal, having a cracker. You've got Murillo and Milenkovic, who are the kind of bedrock of the defence. On Wednesday, Murillo made 18 clearances. 18 clearances, which is the most of any player in any game this season in the Premier League. And they were just great. They were just great, even when it looked like Liverpool were going to go on and win the game. And they did, by the way. Liverpool looked like, for all the world, in the last 15 minutes, they were going to go and win the game. And Forest's rearguard action was a great effort. Not enough emphasis, not enough praise is placed, in my opinion, on great defensive performances. People focus on goals, scoring goals all the time. Great. I'm a big believer in clean sheets. I'm a big believer in defending being as much of an art in football as scoring. And a great tackle, a great header, a great block, and all that is just as good as a great shot, etc., etc. So I like watching great defensive performances, and this was one of them. But let's talk about Liverpool as well, because they contributed to this game. This isn't a Forest loving, by the way, because Liverpool contributed to the game just as much. And I thought they were great. I thought they played really, really well for large parts of the game. But they just couldn't quite find their breakthrough. But they had 71% possession, which is a huge amount in any Premier League fixture. And they dominated the ball, they dominated the possession, and couldn't just quite find a way through. A word to Arne Slot and his magical song. Quoting Mr. T out of the A-team, I love it. Or was it Hannibal? Actually, it might have been Hannibal from the A-team who said, I love it when a plan comes together. Well, I'll tell you what, you get a corner and you're thinking to yourself as a coach, what do I do here? I think I want to make a change. We're 1-0 down. Not quite sure where the goal's going to come from. We're playing well, though, but I want to make a change things up. So I'm going to put a couple of players on. So Kostas Tsimikas came on, Diego Jota came on, and within 22 seconds of them entering the field of play, they had combined to score a goal and the equaliser. Tsimikas crossing, Jota's finish. What a substitution. What a substitution. And to be fair to Slot, he was a humble guy. A popular phrase of football this season, isn't it? But he said, I think he's a humble guy. I think he always comes across well. He said, look, I can't really be praised for this because it was a set piece and could happen with anybody. I'm not so sure about that. I think it was an absolutely inspired bit of play. And he should take all the credit. And then, of course, from that moment on, it was only really a question of, are Liverpool going to score again? And if so, when? Or is there going to be that sort of weird, typical Nottingham Forest moment where you think they're out of the game and suddenly they hit you on the break and they're winning? And they've done it lots of times. They did it at Anfield earlier on in the season where they were getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. One break later, Hudson-Odoi kills it into the back of the net and wins them the game. So it was all about Liverpool pushing in the last 15 minutes. It was all about Nottingham Forest defending, and Sells made a couple of great saves. There was a great goal line clearance. It was close. There was oohs, there was ahs, there was crosses, there was shots and headers. There was all sorts. It was a fantastic game of high octane, high entertainment football. The team's playing it in the right manner. 22 players giving it their all. A great atmosphere, great crowd, and amid, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, amid the cynicism of the modern game, wasn't it just great to watch a game of football like this? So that was the game of the week, without a shadow of a doubt. What does it mean for either team's title aspirations? Well, it's as you were, really. Liverpool stay top and are favourites and will probably win it. Forest, can they win the league? Probably not. Are they in the title race? Absolutely they are. Can they finish top four? Yes, absolutely they can. And we'll see where it goes from there. That was the game of the week. Right, we're going to move on in just a moment to hero and villain. Before we do, just a word about the Global Sports Podcast Network. Of course, you are listening to GSPN, and we are changing the face of football podcasts. We've got daily dedicated content for every Premier League team. Women's football, Premier League wrap-ups, broadcast in 3 different languages. We're soon to be launching the USA's first and only dedicated soccer network, daily soccer network, even better. It's your one-stop shop for all your daily football fixes. So find GSPN wherever you find your usual podcasts, put in the daily, and then your team. So Daily Arsenal, Daily Tottenham, Daily Palace, whatever your team is, and you'll find those podcasts. Come and join us, and sure to be entertained every day of the week by the GSPN podcasting teams. Right, okay. Quick hero and villain, then I'm going to move on to the podcast. I'm going to move on to the predictions, shall I say, for the coming games. Right, my hero of the week and villain of the week both come from the same place, actually. Although they do come from different teams a few miles apart. Hero of the week has to be Amad Diallo. It has to be. Because Manchester United last night, because I'm recording this on a Friday, last night played Southampton, and on the back of a little bit of a rise of optimism, let's face it, they're drawn 2-2 with Liverpool recently. They've beaten Arsenal in a really good performance, by the way, in the FA Cup. Is there a sense that Ruben Amorim is turning things around? Maybe. Is there a sense of optimism for the first time in goodness knows how long at the red side of Manchester? Yeah, probably. It's starting to creep in. And what better way to build your confidence than playing at home to Southampton? Well, I suppose the answer to that is playing away to Southampton. But anyway, you're playing Southampton. 6 points. They're going to get relegated. They might beat Derby County's 11-point record, although I sincerely hope not. As a Derby fan, I like that record. I want to keep it. Thank you very much. But they're rubbish. Yeah, they are rubbish. Let's face it. So it was going to be a very easy win for Man U, and keeping on that progression, building that momentum, etc., etc., etc. But of course, this is Manchester United. Hooray! It's Man United, so nothing goes to plan. And predictably, Southampton scored. Played well, by the way. They played well. So is there hope? No, there isn't. Is there hope? No, still not. But They had a good. They're putting in a good performance. Man United were Man United of 3 weeks ago. Not really at the races. Not really playing particularly well. And with 82 minutes gone, they were losing the game. Manchester United 0. Southampton 1. Unbelievable away win for the Saints. I mean, out of nowhere. Nobody would have thought it. Nobody would have predicted it. Nobody would have expected it. And nobody could have believed quite what they were seeing. A damaging home defeat for Manchester United after a couple of decent results. And up pops Amad Diallo. Goals in 82 minutes. Goal in 90 minutes. Goal in 94 minutes. What a guy. What a player, by the way. And I know, look, you'll have seen the 94th minute goal. It was very reminiscent of a lot of goals scored against Southampton. It was quite funny. If you haven't seen it, it's a kind of classic Southampton giveaway goal this season, whereby goalkeeper passes to his defender and then runs out of his goal. Okay, runs out of his goal to kind of towards the corner of the 6-yard box, leaving his goal completely and utterly naked and uncovered. And the defender who stood on the kind of other bit of the 6-yard box just can't control it and gives it to Diallo, who just like pops it into the net as the Southampton goalkeepers realise what's going on and is trying to scurry back. It's comically bad. So I thought Southampton had cut all that rubbish out, frankly, but no. There it is. It was a very funny goal. And fair play to him. He's a very, very good young player. He is one of those players that the future of Manchester United should be about. He's the sort of player you want to see wearing a red shirt and you can build a team around. So good luck to him. He is my hero of the week with a very, very late hat-trick to turn the tables on Southampton and win the game for Manchester United is Amad Diallo. And now we cross the city of Manchester to my villain of the week, which is Manchester City. All of them. A collective villain of this week because they chucked away a 2-goal lead against Brentford in the week in ridiculous fashion. And they almost lost the game, by the way. They almost lost the game. 2-0 up and cruising till very late on. Again, similarly, just as Diallo was equalising for Manchester United in the 82nd minute, Brentford was starting their comeback against Manchester City. And what has got into... I mean, look, we know what's going on at City. We know what's happened in recent times. But they've won a couple of games. There's just no excuse. I'm sorry. There is no excuse for being 2-0 up, away from home, for a team of that quality to chuck it away. Okay? But yet, they did. And they let a goal in 82 minutes. Fine. It gets to the 92nd minute. You're still winning 2-1. You concede. And then, goodness me, Ake had to clear one off the line from Mbeumo in the 95th minute. Otherwise, it would have been 3-2 to Brentford. What? Every time you think Man City have turned the corner because they pick up a good result, it's one step forward and about 25,000 paces back. So not good enough. Manchester City, not good enough. And for chucking away a 2-goal lead, and this is not taking anything away from Brentford, by the way. Nothing at all. Their home form's good. They're a good side. They're having a good season again, etc. This is not about Brentford. It's more about the fact that Man City can't see out a 2-goal lead late in the game. So they are my villain of the week. Manchester City, poor effort. Okay, poor effort and must do better. Right, to finish the podcast then, we are going to have a look at the weekend's games and we're going to do our predictions. It's fair to say, and I'm flying solo today, as you've heard, and I'm very delighted to say, with nobody to challenge me, that I am winning the prediction league here at GSPN this year so far by a country mile. So I'm going to hope to continue that trend by predicting this weekend's results. And I'm going to take them in no particular order, well, kind of order in which they're played. First one up is Newcastle versus Bournemouth. I've gone for a home win here because I think Newcastle are unstoppable at the moment. This is going to be 10 home games or 10 games in a row. I think they're going to win. Bournemouth are a very good side. It won't be easy. It's going to be tight. I would say maybe a 2-1 or something like that. They will make it hard for them, no doubt, Bournemouth. But Newcastle are just unstoppable right here, right now. They've got a solid defence. Seem to have found a way to stop conceding goals. Presumably, Dubravka still hasn't been sold to Saudi, by the way, so I guess he's going to be playing. That Shah and Dan Burn and Botman, whoever's playing in centre-half, seems to be doing very well. They've got solid fullbacks. It just seems to be working defensively. But the real key to unlock the door here is, of course, Alexander Isak, who's on a absolutely red-hot scoring streak. 2 more goals against Wolves this time in the week. Not hard goals. Wolves made it very easy for Newcastle in the week in terms of trying to keep the ball out of the net. They didn't do a very good job at all. But Isaac Yaman, he's the best striker in the Premier League right now. I said it last week. I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it until he's not. But he is. So Newcastle to beat Bournemouth there. Home win. Brentford Liverpool. Tough one. But I've gone for an away win here. I think Liverpool will have just a bit too much for Brentford, and unlike Manchester City, probably won't concede a 2-goal lead if they get it. Again, I think it'll be tight. I do like watching Brentford. I think at home they're mega entertaining. It'll be a scoring game. But I would tip Liverpool to win it, so away win. And then another away win when we get to Leicester versus Fulham. Because Leicester are terrible. I mean, they really are poor. The appointment of Van Nistelrooy is not doing much for them whatsoever. Is it 6 in a row now they've lost? Lost to Palace in the week. No shame in that. Palace are a decent side away from home, particularly. But it's just not working. And Fulham are a good side. Fulham have a good year. I can't see anything. I think it's just going to be one of those games that's going to be quite mundane, quite dull, and fairly routine. And not much. You'll go. It's one of those. And we've all been to games like this where you go along, you sit there, you watch it, and go, yeah, nothing really much happening here, and go home and get on with your Saturday night. That's it. It's going to be one of them. Away win for Fulham. West Ham Palace. Tough one to call. West Ham, they will improve under Graham Potter, no doubt about it. But I'm not quite sure quite yet, and I think they let in too many goals still. I think Palace will win this because I think their away form is terrific. They've not lost away from home now for a while. I think it's September time. This is the last time they lost on the road. A good win at Leicester in week, and they've got players coming back into form. Palace. We've said all along, I think personally, that they are a better team than their league position has them, and I'll maintain that. So I'm going to go for an away win here. I think Palace will nick it. Arsenal Villa. Difficult one. Because this can go any way. Arsenal are a little bit unpredictable and they don't score enough goals, is my opinion. So they are a really, really, really good team, but they don't score enough goals. Villa are unpredictable and they do score lots of goals. They had a good win in the week at Everton, although any win against Everton is not a huge surprise, but it was a good win at Goodison nonetheless. And I don't know. I kind of thought about it. So it was a home win, yeah, home win. Draw, yeah. See a draw, quite comfortably see a draw. Away win, yeah, could easily see an away win as well. You can see anything. Toss the dice. So I tossed my 3-sided dice, and it came down as an away win. It came down as an away win for Villa. I'm not sure that's right, but I'm going for it. I'm going for an away win for Villa, but not with any kind of confidence, if I'm brutally honest with you. Hey-ho. Everton versus Tottenham. I've got a little bit more confidence in this. Everton don't score goals. Tottenham do score goals. Everton are quite miserly in defence, so it's either going to be 0-0 or Tottenham will win by the odd goal or two, and that's what I think is going to happen. I think Tottenham. They're not. I think they'll just have a little bit too much attacking verve for Everton, and they'll get a goal and maybe a couple. But I think that will be an away win. It wouldn't surprise me if it's 0-0 at all. But yeah, let's go for goals. We'll do that. Man United versus Brighton is next. I've gone for a score draw here. I've gone for a score draw because I like Brighton, and they had a good win against Ipswich last night. They're a good side away from home. And Man United, despite last night's heroics by one single player, despite the pickup in performance against Liverpool and Arsenal, are still not really anywhere near where they need to be. It's a work in progress, and quite a long work in progress. So I've gone for a draw here, a score draw, point apiece. Forest versus Southampton is a coupon buster. This is, for those of you young people who don't know what a coupon buster is, a coupon buster is back in the day when we used to do what's called the football pools, which was the old school style of betting. And there was always one result which ruined your bet. And that's what's called a coupon buster, because the piece of paper that you wrote it on was called a coupon. Forest Southampton is going to be the coupon buster of the weekend because everybody will go for a Forest win. The entire world will predict a Forest win. I am no different. I think Forest will win, and Forest will win pretty comfortably, but it'd be very funny if they didn't. So home win for Forest, but watch out because there's always one really, really stupid result in the Premier League, and this might be it. This might be one of those crazy days where Southampton turn up and do something. And I say that on the back of the fact they nearly did it at Man U. So they are capable of playing, 82 minutes and leading, but not very often. But the sensible money goes on a Forest win, and that's where I'm going. Ipswich versus Manchester City then. Yeah, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Ipswich, that is a poor result against Brighton. That's the sort of game they should be winning. They are still out of the bottom three, but on goals scored only. They're not picking up. They're not doing what they need to do. I think Man City will be too strong for them. I'd like to think that Manchester City will win. Oh, well, not will win, sorry. It doesn't matter to me whether they win or not. I'd like to think they will learn the lesson from the Brentford game and not be so ridiculously stupid in defence in the latter part of the game. I just think they'll be too strong for Ipswich. I think they'll be too strong. So going for an away win there for Man City. Ipswich might, as long as you've got Rory Delap playing, not Rory Delap, blimey, I'm harking back to the days where Rory Delap pulled on the shirt for the mighty Rams. No, his son Liam Delap. As long as you've got Liam Delap playing, who is such a brilliant watch and such a brilliant striker, you've got a chance. You've definitely got a chance. But I think Man City will be too strong. So away win there. And then finally on Monday night, we've got Chelsea v Wolves. I think maybe 2 or 3 days ago, I would have said this was a tighter game than I thought. But I saw Wolves play against Newcastle on Wednesday night, and they defended so appallingly. And the goals that Newcastle scored, they didn't really have to work for that hard. And if they're going to defend like that again, then I'm afraid Chelsea are going to win. They were pretty good in attack, Wolves, but not great. And it was a very comfortable home win for Newcastle. I think this will be a home win for Chelsea. Chelsea have stuttered recently. They need to get back on winning form. They need back to winning ways. They've got it in them. They've got a decent strike force if it clicks, and it needs to start clicking again. So I don't know what kind of game it will be. Might be a great game. Might be a dirge. Don't know. But home win. Home win is that. I think Chelsea Wolves. And that brings the predictions to an end. I'm sure that some people will be nodding their heads right here, right now, going, Nick, you are a wise man, my friend. You're a wise man. You rationalise your argument extremely well. I agree with you, everything you say. And there will be people going, who is this buffoon? What on earth are you talking about? How on earth can you possibly think that Villa will win away at Arsenal, that Man City will win away at Ipswich, or that Man United will even get a point? I don't, hey. That's the joy of football, people. We all have different opinions, and that's the whole point of it. Well, look, that's half an hour. We're done. Thank you very much indeed for listening. As I say, join us all on social media, GSPN Official on X and Official GSPN on Instagram. Or is it the other way around? Oh, I've got it wrong again. Is it the other way around? I think it's the other way around. It is. It is the other way around. I don't know what I'm thinking. So let me try that little bit again. Come and join us on social media. Official GSPN on X and GSPN Official on Instagram or TikTok. You'd think one day I'll be able to get that right. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope your team does well. Join us next time for the next edition of That Saturday Feeling. Thank you for your company. It's been lovely. See you next time. Goodbye.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.